and all at once this ragged Confederate came in with straggly hair and beard and said, "It's your turn to take guard duty." It irritated him real bad, and he said, "I got to command the battle tomorrow. You go do the guard duty." He says, "No, I'm tired. It's your turn." And that he laid down onto the cot where his daughter was laying asleep, and he dissolved into the cot where his daughter was, and it shook him up pretty bad.
Yeah, that would do it. That would definitely do it. Now, battlefields.
Yes.
Battlefields have long been extremely haunted places for obvious reasons.
Let me tell you one more if we have time. We had a New York boy that came down from up here, and I'd hunted the battleground extensively, and the 173rd New York had used a ditch there to fight hand-to-hand combat until they were wiped out. And so I, of course, used metal detectors to find the relics, and I'd hunted this ditch for about 5 years and found everything that could be found. He said, "Can I go with you? I would love to go since my kinfolks." Now, he was from up north. Of course, I live in the south. It's kind of unusual that way. So he went down there. He didn't know where he was. I didn't tell him where he was. And he found a beautiful brass spur right next to the ditch where the 173rd New York were completely wiped out. So it was a hot day, and we laid down in the ditch, and I never get any feelings like that. I don't know why, but he does, I guess. And he laid down in the ditch, and he didn't know all his kinfolks had all been killed in the ditch we were laying in.
Oh, my.
And all at once, he just jumped straight up out of the ditch like if something had stuck him with a hot poker. And he said, "Something just passed over me." He said, "I've got to get out of here. I've got to go." And I laughed, and I knew he didn't know where we were. And so I said, "Oh, John, just lay back down. Just because all your kinfolks all got killed right where you're laying is no reason to get upset." He jumped out of the ditch and sat down in the old road, and I had to have a little fun with him. I said, "John."
Southern fun. This is Southern fun.
Yeah. And so I said, "John, you just sat down in the old Civil War road." I said, "Pretty soon a caisson pulled by horses and a cannon will come roaring down the road, but don't get out of the way. It'll just pass on through you." Well, he was thoroughly shook because he was really nervous already and had something bothering him continuously. And he didn't know what to say to that, so I had to pull his leg a little more. And I said, "Pretty soon you'll hear the bugles blow, and it'll be time to leave." And he was so upset by then. We were a mile from the car on the road, and he couldn't contain himself. He said, "Something's here with me. I've got to go. I've got to go." And I said, "No, John, wait till the bugles blow." And a coon hunter blew one of these old foxhorns at that time. And John left that woods, leaving a trail of smoke all the way to the car. And I walked him out up there, and he was scared to death sitting on the hood. He said, "Something was in that ditch with me." He said, I know it. And I said, "And you couldn't even let me get in the car." He said, "You had it locked."
Well,
we got a real fun thing out of that.
Yes, well, now I've had a little taste of a Southern sense of humor. Great. His whole family was killed in the ditch. And he felt something pass directly over him. And you didn't tell him. And you were having fun with him. Great sense of humor. Great. Maybe they just take those things for granted down there, huh? East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello. Hello there?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Oh, it's me.
Only you'd know that for certain, but it sounds like you.
Hi, Art.
Hi.
I have a ghost story.
All right, where are you?
I'm in Texas, Austin,
Texas. Austin, all right.
right now. But the resident ghost was living with me on Long Island. And my son was about 3 or so, and we had a pull-down attic door, and he wanted the Jeep I had hidden for him for Christmas up there. And I said, how do you know what's up there? He said, "Well, Irving takes me up there." Irving. I said, "Who's Irving?" He says, "He visits me at night." And I said, "Well, how do you get up in the attic? Does he pull the door down?" And he said, "No, we float up through the ceiling."
Through the ceiling?
Through the ceiling. And in days to come, Irving had taken him to where Irving lives, which was a box of bones in the ground.
A box of bones in the ground.
in the ground.
Through the ceiling to get to a box of bones in the ground.
Yes.
Okay.
So, in days to come, we had an occasion to walk through the community cemetery to see the Memorial Day parade.
Box of bones in the
And
ground.
as we're walking through the cemetery, he pulls at me, he says, Mommy, there's where Irving lives. And I go over to where he showed me,
Yes.
and it was Irving Riggs.
Oh my God.
So,
You mean it said it right there?
it said it right there on the gravestone. So I worked for 30 so years at a hospital.
Excuse me, but you know, this really sucks. I mean, I don't like graves. I want to be cremated. I don't like bones. I don't like things buried under the ground. And the last thing in the world I'd want is to be in a box with bones and Irving.
Well, that was Irving's bones. But I asked him, I said, weren't you afraid? He says, no, Irving talks to me.
Yeah?
That he was afraid at first. But now, there was a question earlier this evening. You said to somebody, does this child see the person?
Yes, oh yes.
Well, I have that answer for you.
And it is?
Well, I worked for years with a girl by the name whose maiden name was Riggs. So I told her, I said, Edna, do you have any ancestors by the name of Irving? She says, yes, a great-grandfather. So I told her the story. And in quite a few years to come then, she said her aunt had died. And she went over to help her take the stuff clear the attic out. And a picture fell out of a box she was carrying down from the attic. And she asked her other aunt, who is this?
Yes.
And her other aunt said, that's your great-grandfather Irving. And so she gave me the picture.
Yes.
And now my son's in his teens, and he hasn't seen Irving, and Irving has just, turned water on, and we always say, oh, it's Irving. Things have fallen off the wall, there's footsteps, and so when I came home from work and I put the picture on the bulletin board by the phone, my son comes running in from work or something, and he grabs the phone to call his girlfriend, and he stops short. He hangs the phone up. He says, Mommy, where did you get that picture? Who's that picture of? I said, I don't know. I said, who does it look like? He said, remember that guy who used to come visit me at night?
Man. Oh, God. So there's not much question about the fact that, at least in your son's case, he sure saw Irving.
And Irving was a real person, a real ghost.
Oh, man. Man, what a story.
We put a face to Irving. I wanted to tell you this story.
Better face than bones.
I think he was better looking in the picture.
No doubt. All right, my dear, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, no, thank you. I don't like that one. I don't like that one at all. Can you imagine being taken in the night by a spirit to the place underground where the body, what's left, is buried, to spend time with the spirit there? No, thank you. West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I don't know. I was doing better earlier. How are you doing?
Oh, fine. I'm calling from Sacramento.
Yes,
California.
sir. Yes.
I was privileged to live in a house that my grandfather purchased. Got in the 30s. He bought the land and he built it up. He built it by hand, basically by cement. He was a cement mason. And over the years, he traveled during the war. My grandmother, they traveled around, doing contracts for the government, building, air bases and stuff. Well, they finally planted themselves on this piece of property. And my grandmother wouldn't move. Well, my grandfather passed away in the late 70s, and I came home and leave and saw him. And the night he passed away, we talked. Then my grandmother passed away in the late 80s. And me and my girlfriend decided, well, we'll move into the house. Now, this house was built by a bunch of drunken cement masons. So there was add-on.
A bunch of drunken masons?
Yeah, cement masons.
Cement masons.
And my dad and my uncle, they made the bricks by hand. My grandfather loved cement.
Yeah.
And he would cuss every time he said that house I made 100,000 of these bricks. Well, over time, I moved in. I'm a nurse, and I worked at night, and I lived in South Sacramento. And over time, the area deteriorated, but the plot of land we had and the house was there.
Right.
When we first moved in, things would start to happen. A light switch. We had these distinctive light switches. My grandfather was a scrounger, and if he could get it from a military base, he'd get it. These lights would go click, click,
Right.
click, click, and we'd be sitting in the living room, and there was a lot of stuff left over from them. But you'd sit there, and suddenly you hear click, click, and the light bathroom in the back bathroom would come on. The door would kind of jar, and then toilet would flush, click, click, the light would go off. These small things went on. You'd get cigar smoke. My grandfather was an avid cigar smoker.
Listen, sir, I'm going to interrupt your story, and we're going to finish it after the break. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right, stay right. Click, click. Bones in a box. Irving taking me to visit. You've got to be kidding.
Listen to it blow, watch the sun rise.
You're listening to Ghost AM. I'm Art Bell.
Go straight on.
Run in the shadows, damn your love, damn your life. And if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying, we'll never break the chain. And if you don't love me now, don't never love me again. I was a highwayman. Along the coach roads I did ride, with sword and pistol by my side. Many a young maid lost her baubles to my trade. Many a soldier shed his lifeblood on my blade. The master hung me in the spring of 25, but I am still alive. I was a sailor, I was born upon the tide. With the sea I did abide. I sailed a schooner around the Horn of Mexico. I went aloft to furl the mainsail in a blow. And when the yards broke off, they said that I got killed. But I'm living still. I was a dam builder across the river deep and wide, where steel and water did collide. A place called Boulder on the wild Colorado. I slipped and fell into the wet concrete below. They buried me in that great tomb that knows no sound. But I'm still around. I'll always be around, around.
Call Art Bell in the Kingdom of Nye from west of the Rockies at 1-800-618-8255. East of the Rockies, 1-800-825-5033. First-time callers may reach Art at 1-775-727-1222. And the wildcard line is open at 1-775-727-1295. To reach Art on the toll-free international line, call your AT&T operator and have them dial 800-893-0903. This is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell from the Kingdom of Nye.
But I will remain. I'll be back again
And again, and again. Good morning, everybody. We're telling ghost stories this night. It's called Ghost to Ghost AM. We'll get right back to it. I wonder if some cruise ships are haunted. One would think so. There certainly are some planes that are haunted, and here's my caller once again, sir. Please continue.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Back? Yeah, before I go on, I just want that the crane company, I found them very amicable and very easy to deal with. And I will purchase many more things from them.
Thank you. You're right. They are.
Yeah. Where we were at? We were at my grandfather's house.
Yes.
Yeah. He was a character, but as I say, he loved his cement, and he would get friends to do things for him and build things. And the house started off with one room, and then they added on. Well, over a period of time after they passed away and my girlfriend moved in, things started happening. Cigar smoke, you could smell it. You could fried chicken, lights would come on and off. You'd be sitting there and you'd get a whiff of my grandmother's perfume, or you'd get a cold breeze by your head. Nothing demonic. It was fun. It made you feel good. And my girlfriend would be home alone, and she'd be sitting in the garage room, which was where my grandmother spent most of her time. She'd say, "Dang it, Mike, she's back." And she'd say, "She's in here." She'd turn the TV on and off a couple times, and she'd laugh. But then things would start to happen. My grandfather had a cement shed where he did all his work for his pots and stuff. And we were one night sitting in bed. We kept hearing this noise. And it was the cement mixer going around and around.
Oh my!
And we got it, went outside. Of course, it's not there anymore. But we kept hearing, and then you hear shovel scoops.
Yep. Don't you realize though the potential horror that you're talking about? In other words, dying, being so attached. I can understand being attached to the work you have done, the stonework you have done, the house you live in, the area you're in, your plot of land, whatever it is. I can understand that, but the hell of being forever more confined, unseen, to roam in these places, it's horrible to contemplate.
Yeah, well, I understand that, and I felt for him. So we would talk to him. I'd be sitting there working, and I'd say, "How you doing?" And I worked in his office. I lived there. I was actually lucky to live there for about 3 years. And the final kind of chapter in all this, my girlfriend and me were having a bad night, and we woke up suddenly, and she got up and I got up. We walked outside in the living room. All the chairs were upside down. The property was being sold, so they, I think, were upset that they were losing their house, because this was a hub of our family.
No, that's right. No.
Years.
I understand the chairs were upside down.
Right. And so then, finally, I was tasked to kind of, my girlfriend was taking a bath. She felt the door open, and then she felt her hand on her back. Well, that's it. She got up, went out, dried off, got up. Well, the light went on, toilet flushed. There it is again. I got tasked to cleaning out the pump house, we called it, and there was a lot of stuff in there. And we were selling the property, so we had to clean up what's left over.
Right.
And this is kind of emotional because I cleaned it all out, and I was throwing. My grandmother was a pack rat. Everything. Well, I got done, finished cleaning it out, and there was this shelf that had been cleaned off, but it had just been sitting there.
Right.
And I went out finally to get the last load, and I looked up, and there were these two cars. They were those little die-cast hot metal cars from the 40s.
Right.
And, whoa, that's interesting. They were just sitting there with a red one and a green one. And I looked at them and said, "Where'd these come from?" So I picked them up and I took them into my girlfriend. I said, "Wait, you messing with me again?" Because we used to play tricks on each other. She said, "No." And she kind of turned kind of white. She said, "Where'd you get those?" I said, "Out in the shed." She says, "I thought I felt something out there." Well, the cars turned out to be my father's when he was a kid. And I guess my grandmother wanted to have them because we were throwing all this stuff away, and they turned them back up. My dad kind of got teary-eyed. He said, "I haven't seen these in 30 years."
Never mind.
So,
I'll find a new
unfortunately, the property was sold, and things moved on. And I think they're still there. I don't think they're happy. I hope, there was a lot of other things that went on, but it wasn't an evil thing. It was very, very, very pleasant to be there.
I understand.
And I really enjoyed it.
Well, I've enjoyed your story, and I'm going to amplify on it a little bit. Thank you very, very much. If you're very young, you won't comprehend what I'm about to say. But as you get older, a place that you have built yourself, a place that you have designed yourself, your own property, your own place, would and does carry such a very, very strong imprint on your mind that I can easily imagine that if there is some sort of existence, be it heaven or hellish after this life,
keep right and then exit.
you would not easily, nor perhaps ever, in the real horror of
Exit
thinking about
right.
it, detach yourself from this place that you were so connected to, that you so loved, that you knew every cranny and crook of that you loved.
Finding a
Your
new
place,
route.
your home. That you remain there. But that's quite a prospect to consider, isn't it? First time caller line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, my name is Bob. I'm from Alameda, California.
Hello, Bob.
Yeah, and I live on an island. It's called Alameda, and the significance of that will come up later.
All right.
But I'm a commercial pilot, and in January of 1998, I was working on building cross-country hours.
Right.
So I
Do you fly big jets?
No, I fly the small little airplanes. I'm still building up hours, going to do my certified flight instructor rating.
Gotcha.
But off of that, we'll go up to, I was going to fly up to Ukiah. I flew up there and visited with my friends, and it got kind of late. So I started to fly back, and it was about 11:30 at night. And as I left the airport area, it was about 3,000 feet, and all of a sudden it got really, really cold in the cockpit. Man, this is real cold.
In the cockpit?
Yeah, in the cockpit of this little 172 Cessna.
Mm.
So I reached up and closed the vents, and I pulled on the heater, and it just stayed really cold. And I didn't think much of it. And I listened to a station called 960. It's an old 40 station. I had that going on, and they were playing the old music. And all of a sudden, over my headsets, I hear "Check Your Six, Boy." And I was all by myself in the cockpit. The communications radio, I didn't even have that on.
Yes.
So I turned around and looked behind me, check your
Reading
six,
cue.
look at your 6 o'clock position.
Right.
I turned around, and all of a sudden there's just this kind of glowing green light, and it's getting closer and closer. And I was like, yeah, I was like, oh my
man.
God.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so
What was the voice like?
it just sounded like some old 40s voice, you know.
Check your six.
Yeah, check your 6, boy, is what he said.
Yeah.
And I turned around, and this light was getting closer, and so I go to turn and push forward, and the yoke wasn't moving. And these little planes aren't equipped with autopilots. And this thing was not, not pitching down and not turning or anything.
You couldn't change anything.
I couldn't move after that. And all of a sudden the lights dimmed in the cockpit. And I'm getting real scared.
I hear you. Yes.
And so then I kind of get fixated on this thing coming up behind me. And as it gets closer, it had probably another, I'd say 60 or 70 knots on me. And it was creeping up, and it went around on my right side and came up to about my 3 o'clock position.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it, and it's a huge flying boat with one of the old Pan Am type clippers had pulled up alongside me.
You've got to be kidding.
Oh, God, I'm not. I wish I was, because it's really scared the heck out of me.
You swear as a pilot to be, this is true?
I can't lie.
All right, go ahead.
I don't tell people about this because they'll think I'm crazy, but figured I'll go ahead and call. Anyway, this thing pulls up beside me, and it's starting to creep in, and I'm really frantically trying to get this stick to move, and I just look over, and all of a sudden I just see this face in the cockpit window, and this thing's huge, 4 big radial engines.
Yeah.
And the guy kind of gives me a wave, and then he turns off, pulls away, and then all of a sudden it just kind of vanished, and then I could start to hear things again, and I could hear the radio again. So I made it back to Oakland Airport, where I'm based out of.
Yes.
And I landed there, and my mom had bought me this book a couple weeks earlier, and it was called, I got it right here, it's Pacific Pioneers, Pan American Story. And I just was curious, and I was looking through it, and there's one name called, it's a M130 Philippine Clipper, it's a Martin flying boat, and it had crashed on it was January 21st, 1943. It crashed up in the Ukiah area. And I was like, wow, that's really amazing. Maybe that was the same one I saw. And then, I didn't think much of it after that. And I was riding my bike up at the old Naval Air Station in Alameda, and it turned out that Alameda was the base for the Pan American Company for their Pacific flights.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could not believe it, but yeah, it happened.
So, you had a midair encounter with a ghost plane.
Yeah, and ATC, I queried them on my way in. I said, have you seen any planes around me on your radar? And they said no. And I didn't really want to press the thing I was kind of worried I might have a phone number to call when I got back from
You
the FAA.
definitely you wouldn't want to tell that story.
No. So I kind of said, keep it under your hat and all your millions of listeners too.
We'll do that, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. But what does that tell us? What hints do we derive from that story with respect to things that are gone, dead, gone? Was it the plane itself that was in some slip of time or dimension suddenly there again? Or the occupants of that plane that had crashed? What a story. Check your 6 o'clock, boy. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, this is Steve in Fort Walton Beach.
Hello there.
You're on Talk Radio 1260 AM.
Yes, sir.
A station I played a very instrumental role in getting you on.
Well, a gold star for you.
You just give me $1 million out of that $60 million you're going to get from them bozos.
In my dreams. That's not going to happen. We're doing that for reasons other than money. The money's never going to be there. But
I hear you.
But there's anyway.
Yeah, I think that happened. It's not a very long story, but it freaks me out. It freaks me out every night I go to bed. And it's where I'd be laying, sleeping. I keep my room pretty dark. And then I just felt there was another presence in the room when I'm sleeping. It's dark, but you can still see silhouettes. But anyway, I'd be laying there and with my eyes closed, I wouldn't be moving. And I'd just thinking to myself, now if I get up really quick and look really fast, if I'm going to see anything, just because I felt something else in there.
Uh-huh.
And I did. I got up really fast.
In other words, you felt the presence of something and you were intent on surprising it.
Right. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Because I always had a feeling there was something there. I'm not crazy or nothing, but...
So you jumped up.
I jumped up, looked up really quick, and most of the time there would be nothing there, but this time, back to the red eyes, 2 of them looking right at me.
Red eyes.
Yeah. For about 2 seconds, maybe, and then they were gone.
Let's find a new route.
Oh, God. So what that really means is that probably most times that you felt a presence that way, when you didn't jump up and look,
Rerouting.
you now know what was there.
Yeah.
Red eyes.
When
It's
possible.
only happened to me twice.
It would only take once for me.
Yeah.
Red eyes are not good.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, red eyes are definitely not good. I mean,
I'll find
when
a
you
new route.
when you think of angels and or heaven or God or the Creator or whatever,
Exactly.
you don't think of glowing red eyes. Red eyes are not associated with that side of stuff.
No. That close thing I can, the Amityville horror,
Yes.
there's them 2 red eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I see.
Like that.
It's exactly like that.
I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you. Red eyes are bad. Very bad. It does not take a brain scientist to know that red eyes are not good. That red eyes are not your guardian angel. And now, it's got to make you wonder, doesn't it? How many times have you felt a presence near you? Not a strong feeling, but just a feeling that